Hello, my name is Gary Supreme, and I wish this was under better circumstances, but unfortunately it is not. So today was a pretty big day if you've been keeping track of the head count, because many people were released today from WWE. I'm going to get you right now an official statement off of my phone, because it is going to be easier to do it that way than on the computer. So now, unfortunately, this is from CBS Sports. This was done an hour ago. It is about 8 after 5 Pacific Standard Time. So these people were released Wednesday, and it was for short-term costs and reduction and cash flow improvement, were the reasons cited by actually Vince McMahon. So it is. But some of these are massive, and I'll get to why, after I'm done stating what I have to say. But the people that have been released on Wednesday were Rusev, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, Drake Maverick, Eric Young, EC3, Leo Rush, Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater, Sarah Logan, Eric Rowan, No Way Jose, Primo and Epico Colon, Mike and Maria Kanellis, Deano Purrazzo, Alexander Jaksic, whom I'm not sure who that is. It sounds like a ref, though. Aiden English, who is currently the announcer of 205 Live. Mike Chioda, who had been a referee there for 30 years. Kurt Angle. Billy Kidman. Mike Rotunda. Fit Finley. Pat Buck. Sean Daivari. Scott Armstrong. Sarah Stock, Shane Helms, and Lance Storm. So that is a lot of people. So I have to be honest with you. I feel the worst for the talent, because those are some great pieces of talent. I mean, it's terrible that this is happening to these guys because of the virus, but it's hard for me to say what's going on, but Vince is calling this, quote-unquote, a series of cost-cutting measures the company will undertake in response to the ongoing fallout of the pandemic. And his 4 reasons were reducing executive and board member compensation. Now, on that one, I really have to say which executives are having their stuff cut. Is it Vince? Because if it's not Vince, then why are you firing all these people? Decreasing operating expenses, which, okay, I guess. I mean, they're already doing that by filming everything at the Performance Center. But anyway, cutting talent expenses, obviously that goes with firing the talent. And then third-party staffing and consulting, which I'm assuming is where you're firing the Fit Finleys and the Kurt Angles and the Billy Kidmans. and then deferring spend on the build out of the company's new headquarters for at least 6 months, which I guess they're replacing Titan Tower for a new building. So that is what it is. The press release stated also identified headcount reductions and made the decision to furlough a portion of its workforce effective immediately. The decision to furlough versus permanently reduce headcount reflects the fact that the company currently believes the furlough will be temporary in nature. Well, it doesn't sound temporary in nature, and I guarantee for at least the talent, once that 90 days is up, if this isn't over, they're going to sign somewhere else if they have that opportunity. Because I think a lot of these guys it's not that WWE had lost favor with them. They had kind of lost favor with WWE. I mean, look at what Rusev had to go through. His last big storyline was his wife cheating on him with Bobby Lashley. I mean, yikes. That is very much a yikes. It says that the headcount reduction per the statement will reduce the company an estimated $4 million per month during the pandemic. I guess. I mean, it's not. I mean, I feel so bad for these wrestlers because, none of this is their fault. None of it. And yet, these guys were constantly left given no position on television or left in catering. And it wasn't for lack of talent. It was for lack of imagination. And, what else are you going to do? But these guys... I mean, you look back at the list of talent, and I guess I'll talk about this now. Rusev, I guarantee you if AEW doesn't snatch him up, somebody like Ring of Honor or New Japan will. Guaranteed. Once his 90 days is up, he is gone. So, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, they can either A, go back to New Japan and be hailed as heroes, or B, go to All Elite Wrestling and, and also be hailed as heroes. I mean, a lot of people are going to say, oh, look at them, they're taking all this ex-WWE talent, and I see that comment a lot on social media. But here's the thing, WWE is the one that took on everyone else's talent. Now they're having problems because they have so much excess they have to trim the fat somewhere. Now, do I agree with the names they cut? No, not at all. But, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they should have cut X over Y. That, is very degrading to certain wrestlers. But these guys, I don't think deserved it at all. Eric Young, he was never given a chance once they split up Sanity. Eric Young, I think, would do better in another company with a fresh start. Because without Sanity, what is Eric Young? So, give him a fresh start. And, I wish him nothing but the best, but I don't think WWE was a good place for him. I think he'd be welcomed back with open arms and Impact. I think there's a place for him in a place like Ring of Honor or New Japan, and I also think an AEW would be just fine. Leo Rush and EC3, those guys have AEW written all over them. So, EC3 was actually mentioned in a tweet by the Revival that they wanted to take them with him instead of having him sit there and pose in a mirror like Johnny Bravo. So, I mean, I know this is probably, I don't know, this might have been the best news EC3 got this whole week. But, because he wanted to go. But I feel bad because until this is all over, this is going to be not so bueno. Lio Rush, again, if not AEW, this guy, again, New Japan, definitely. I could see this guy working the indies. Or he'd go back to Ring of Honor. I guarantee he'd get a hero's welcome at Ring of Honor. So, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Boy, way to treat your former tag champions. I mean, that's not one, but two sets of tag team champions that you laid off. As I've said before on this podcast, WWE just doesn't care about tag team wrestling. But, you know, Zack Ryder, I'm not sure where he'll end up, but he's a phenomenal athlete. And I think he's got talent written all over him. Kurt Hawkins, I don't know where he ends up. I don't know what happens to him. So, and I'm not saying he doesn't have talent. It's just he doesn't have a history within anywhere. So, Heath Slater, they laid off. I don't know where he ends up either. But obviously, you know, we won't be having, you know, all three members of 3MB win the WWE title, which is kind of sad. But, you know, so Heath Slater's gone. I'm going to miss those, you know, those he's got kids moments. So, you never know with that. And then you've got No Way Jose. I didn't think No Way Jose was going to be there for a long time anyway. It's just like a lot of these other talents that, you know, have an issue with their, you know, certain talents have an issue with the party angle. The party angle is almost a death sentence. We saw what happened to the last person that had the party angle. And unfortunately, when you've got a bunch of people coming around with you, the party angle kind of ends up being a death sentence because no one will take you seriously. No Way Jose was a great talent in NXT, and they allowed him to thrive in NXT. As soon as he was called up, cord got cut, and he barely got any TV time, and the guy just wasn't looked at as anything serious. So it's sad that he ended up having to leave, basically accomplishing nothing in WWE. But I'm sure that he will land somewhere else where he will accomplish something. And you've got Sarah Logan, which this one was abundantly weird to me because on Monday night she was in a Money in the Bank qualifier. Then you fire her. Yeah. Boy, if anything says feast or fire, that's about it. So, I feel bad, and everybody's going to wonder, or, well, everyone pretty much knows that they buried her on the way out, so that's kind of sad. I believe she was the one to face Asuka, so, no, not Asuka, she was the one to face, I believe, Nia Jax, so, whatever. You know, But that seems very unnecessary to have her lose a Money in the Bank qualifier and then give her a pink slip. Youch. Then you've got Primo and Epico Cologne. I think those guys will be fine. I think they will be okay with, their father's promotion. They're probably still going to be in their father's promotion and helping to run their father's promotion. So I don't think they needed WWE one way or the other. So I think that, Primo and Epico will be fine. I think, they might actually enjoy not being traveling salespeople selling timeshares or matadors with like a, midget wrestling freaking bull. So I think that was one of those releases where I'm like, they still work there? Because you never see them. Mike and Maria Kanellis were the next two to be released. These two were asking for their releases, and then they signed a 5-year deal. And Maria Kanellis, I believe, either recently had a child or is still pregnant and about to have a child. But the bottom line is these two wanted out very quickly. As soon as they were put on Raw, they got no airtime. The most this couple did was have Maria Kanellis win the 24/7 title. So, obviously, Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis will probably prosper somewhere else. Like, I don't think these two were cut from the cloth that needed to be cut. For WWE, I just think that these two are a better fit elsewhere. Where they end up, I don't know. They could end up back in Impact, which, I could totally see. They could end up in Ring of Honor, which I could also totally see, because Mike Bennett is very good in the ring. I don't know about AEW. I mean, they could use Maria in there, but, we'll see where these two end up. Deonna Purrazzo. And like I said, this Alexander Jaksic, I don't know who it is. Aiden English. I feel bad, but now both of the members of the Vaudevillains are out of WWE. So maybe they can get together and do some indie wrestling tag team stuff. Because I never really I liked Aiden English as a commentator, but his best stuff was the Rusev Day stuff. And they totally, killed that angle way too early. Like, Aiden English and Rusev got themselves over. And, they got themselves over when I guess they weren't supposed to get themselves over. And that's why, Rusev Day got all split up. And it's sad because the absolute last thing that I believe we saw Rusev on was that stupid wedding cake angle right before WrestleMania. So, I don't know. It's very sad that, his career ended the way it did. But I guarantee he'll be a successful one on the indies no matter where it ends up. Mike Chioda, like I said, he had worked at WWE since 1990. And they fired him. Youch. Kurt Angle was put into the Hall of Fame last year. And they're firing him a year later. I can only imagine how Kurt Angle must have felt hearing this news today. So, So, Billy Kidman, Mike Rotunda, Fit Finley, and Pat Buck. I mean, these are all producers. The interesting thing is that with all these producers gone, does that mean you're going in a different direction? Or are these people that disagreed with the directive that Vince McMahon put out there? Excuse me. But I had to clear my throat there. But, these producers, there are a few of them here, and let's count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 producers. 10. Where's Sean Spears when I need him? They just got rid of 10 producers. Whether this is Vince finally admitting I don't need them because I just write everything myself, or whether this is we have, or whether this is we have this guy running this brand and this guy running this brand, and we'll be fine. Which Raw is Heyman, NXT is Triple H / William Regal, because he does put in his 2 cents, like realistically production wise there, and then of course you have Bruce Pritchard for SmackDown. So what I'm wondering is, did they just fire everyone else and just, make things smaller? And maybe they're downsizing. Maybe they're downsizing because to save on production costs. So who knows? But this is definitely, this came out of way left field today. And the names just kept dropping and dropping and dropping. And while the names continued to drop, there was a message that was left on ESPN. They found it on Mark Ramondi's page, who is the executive of talent relations. He's basically, other than Vince, decides on who stays and who goes. And I gotta tell you, I heard this message earlier, and it was taped, looks like it was around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that would have been 8 a.m. here in Pacific. And this is Drake Maverick, and I really got a feel for this guy, because you can hear it in his voice. He's trying to hold back tears. So I'm going to play the message for you guys, because obviously I can't show it yet. But definitely, I think you hear it in his voice. So,
Ford is built to lend a hand.
No one wants to hear about Ford. So, okay, I've got to fill another 30 seconds because it's just deemed that we need commercials everywhere now. Ugh. But, hearing this message, I think you'll get the point of what I am definitely trying to convey about how big a deal this actually was. So, alright, here we go.
So I just got off the phone with WWE Talent Relations' Mark Carano, that has told me that as of today, I've been released from my WWE contract. Due to the current climate, what's going on in the world, and I'm like everybody else, where I probably didn't take this as seriously as it is at the beginning, but it's affecting people's lives, it's affecting people's jobs, it's affecting affecting the way people make a living. I'm very fortunate that WWE is still allowing me to compete in the NXT Interim Cruiserweight title tournament, but it's very likely that those will be the last matches I ever have. There's a lot of people I'm not going to get a chance to say goodbye to that I really loved and I really cared about. That make me a better person. And again, I'm very fortunate that I still get that. Other people won't get that. But if these are the last 3 matches I have, I just want everybody watching at home to know that you'll have my all. You'll have everything. It's not about a title anymore. It's about my life. It's about feeding my family, paying my bills. So if I don't make an impression, if I don't win, that's it for me. So I just want everybody to know that you're all going to get everything I have.
So, yeah, I mean, after listening to that, I mean, how could you not feel for some of these people who are getting laid off? I mean, it's obviously this has affected everyone in every, business, no matter who you work for, but, these guys with wrestling, they can't, assume there is a safety net. Because once you're laid off, you have to build in a completely different relationship with an entirely different company. So, and I think that's really where a lot of that comes from, because he gave up a lot to come to WWE. And, he was putting a lot of, I want to say, somewhat embarrassing storylines. I think we remember the whole thing with him urinating on Bobby Roode's robe, throwing it in a toilet, and we remember, the AOPP thing where AOP, beat him up, and he became the manager of AOP, and, urinated his pants because somebody beat him up. I don't even quite remember, but, Drake Mavericks had a lot of memorable moments, especially with the cruiserweights on 205. He was the manager there. I don't know what's going to happen because they've laid off a few cruiserweights. I think 205 is done. I think that, that they're going to eventually just say we're merging 205 with NXT and that's it. No more 205. I think that those guys are lucky they still have a show to themselves, which they should be very proud of because that means they have that much talent. Unfortunately, with all these layoffs, and there could be more coming. I mean, tomorrow we could see another list of 20 or 30 people that get laid off. I mean, nobody knows. So it's going to be very interesting, and the wrestling climate is going to be very interesting here in the next 48 to 72 hours. I don't know if these guys have a 90-day no-compete. I don't think anyone knows that. So, for what it's worth, that is just about everything that I am aware of on the situation right now. Again, please hit that subscription button, leave a like, and if you want to leave a comment below, especially with this situation, feel free. I am Gary Supreme, and I am signing off. Thank you.